Hey guys, if you feel alone in your struggle with porn, watch this Terry Crews interview with me because it's going to completely change the way you feel.
One thing we do as men is that we tend to numb ourselves because you know this is a part of you feel like you're being tough. You feel like you're being strong. Like, okay, I don't feel that pain. You know, I can't show that pain. I can't. And drinking is a big way of numbing your pain. For me, it was pornography. Pornography numbed my pain. And like I still to this day, I've never been drunk. I've never been high. I don't do that. But pornography was something that took me out.
When did that come into your life? Pornography? When was the first time? Oh
man, I first discovered porn at about 9, 10 years old. I was over at my uncle's house and he had a chest full of pornography. And this is the thing, you know, it's funny because...
Yeah, I was 9 years old when I was first exposed to porn, and things as it became a teenager, like marijuana, drinking, none of that was part of the equation because it was like too visible, right? Pornography though, man, it could be kept a secret.
You know, people have said, well, you know, yeah, there's nothing wrong with pornography, you know, with adults and the whole thing. But the problem is that, you know, you never find it as an adult. I don't know anybody who found pornography as an adult. You always find it as a child. It's everywhere. And it's funny because I've been told, hey man, you know, just mind your business. It's all good. You know, you keep to yourself. That's your issue. But porn never keeps itself to itself. I get texts today. I get texts now. People texting me. It's something like phishing, and they text you porn and text you hot girls in your area now. And you're like, I didn't ask for this.
Dude, comment below if this happens to you. This happens to me all the time.
You know what I mean? But you start to realize that they know what they're doing. They know they can get a hook, and they know if they can get it in you, and they know if they can get it in you young. And this was the thing that attracted me to porn, is that I would open up the magazines and they would have comics in them. And the comics and different things, they would have subjects like Goldilocks and, you know, and Snow White and all these stories, Jack and Jill, you know. And you start to realize, wow, this is really, this is stuff I realized as an adult, that this is wired.
Targeting kids.
They're wired to get you young, you know what I mean? And to stay in there because they know it'll never go away, you know? And that was what attracted me. And again, I didn't even know what sex was. But man, all I knew is when I opened that magazine and saw those ladies in that magazine and how beautiful they were, all my problems were gone.
Man, that's so huge. It's kind of like the candy cigarettes, right? Or even fake tattoos. It's like, how can we advertise this stuff to children so that they adopt this as their coping mechanism as they get older? And man, I remember that first exposure that I had to pornography, and that's all we cared about, especially if you grew up in a troubled home like Terry did. Man, all you care about is just getting away from that pain. It's all about survival, and man, oh man, did porn work for that?
Like, it was numb. Like, I didn't know anything about violence, about where I was. It was just like, I could zone away and every problem was disappear. And I had to have it. Like, when things got stressful, I'll never forget, because again, and here's another thing, because you're in a religious household, so you know you're doing wrong. You know, it was like, oh, that's bad, you know. But this was also a time when pornography was in the grocery store. And it wasn't seen as something, it was just kind of like, there we go. And I remember telling my mom, I'm gonna go in the store and get some milk. And I remember just grabbing one of those magazines and I couldn't stop until she's like, hey, what are you doing? And she would take me out of this numbing experience I was having. And I'm standing there in the store and I told her I was get some milk. And there I was. She's like, I was waiting for you for a half hour. What are you doing? But I was stuck. And that's that kind of power that was on me. Like, and I had this addiction for the longest time.
How long?
Oh my, all the way up until 2010.
Wow.
From the whole life, from literally from the time I was about 10 to all the way up to about 12 years ago.
So if you watch the rest of this whole interview, Terry explains how he just witnessed domestic abuse and all kinds of things in his home. At some point he thought, like, literally someday I'm going to have to kill my own dad because of how bad it was. So for him, it was just survival, right? So that's what it was like for me. Not in that there wasn't physical violence and things like that, but it was about survival. It's like, man, I'm dealing with so much here. And pornography, it's like, man, when he explained what that was like, gosh, that hits me to the core, because it was the escape from this pain that I didn't choose. And my little 9-year-old brain was just like, all that matters is just to make it through this. And even though I know this is bad and I feel icky about it, in that moment, I feel free for just a second until it starts all over again.
And when you say addiction, a lot of people might not know what that means. A lot of people might think that means watching porn from now and then, or looking at a magazine now and then. What did that mean in reality? What was if you've got an example of how bad it got for you?
Yes. First of all, it was, I got a day off from the set. So I'm usually on location, and I could watch porn from probably 10 o'clock after my workout, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night.
10 a.m. till 11 p.m. at night.
It wouldn't stop. And I couldn't stop. And I would go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And it was, and the fact that I knew that I was in a different place and no one would know me and no one cared, I could indulge and just, it was what you would call a splurge. Like it just couldn't stop. I couldn't. When day turns into night and you're still watching, I knew I had a problem. And when you tell yourself I'm not going to do this anymore, and then you go right back, because what was happening, I found, is, with the porn, it was like I would say, okay, I'm done with that, whatever, and I would feel guilty. But with guilt comes shame. And with the shame says, and shame doesn't say you've done something bad. Shame says you are bad. Like, this is who you are. You're just bad. So what you would do is do a bunch of good things. And you would just work hard, and I go good for like 3-4 days, and then you need a reward. And what is that reward? Because you did so good. It's porn. And so you go back in, and the cycle starts all over again. And I found it would just keep going on and on and on.
How did it impact your marriage? Because you got married in 1989.
Yes. Listen, first of all, I got married in 1989 to the most beautiful woman on earth. And Rebecca, I met her, she's from Gary, Indiana. We met in college. I actually met in church, which was wild, because I vowed I wasn't going to be religious. But what was wild is that I couldn't get away from the things I felt and the things I was used to. And so I went to church and met her, and she was on the piano, and she was the church leader, the worship leader. And she had a child, just like my mom had a child. And it was a little girl, and she was only 6 months old, and we got married when she was 2. And this was the thing. I thought that once I got married, the porn would go away. I said, man, I got a real woman now. Oh, I don't have to tell her about anything. We just gonna, it was a phase. I'm gonna be out of it. It's gonna be great.
Comment below if that was you. Marriage is gonna fix this illusion.
And in the first argument, well, you feel like it? No, I don't feel like it tonight. Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh, the first sexual conflict.
Right. I'm going out to get pornography. And I thought it would I thought it was going to be my answer to what it was. But I realized It didn't. And I decided that was going to be my secret. What was so unbelievable to me, I just remember, because the wake-up call of all wake-up calls was what we call D-Day around our house. And it was February 2010. And my wife was basically, over the years, she was always suspicious. But what had happened is 10 years earlier, basically in 2000, I had went to a massage parlor and got a hand job and cheated on her. And man, I vowed that I would never tell a soul. Like, I was so hurt. I couldn't believe I did that. Like, you think I can only do this and that, it's going to stop here. But it just fueled the want for more. And I actually crossed the line. And when I crossed that line, I couldn't believe I did that. And I said, I'm going to go to my grave with this. I said, no one's ever going to know. And that's just the way it's going to be. Well, years go by. But my wife was always suspicious. Like, what's up with you, Terry? And I'm like, I'm good. And I remember starting arguments so she would stop talking. Because what happens is one lie turns into 2, turns into 100. And over 10 years, you start to forget which lie you told. Things start to conflate and mixing up. And the pornography never stopped. It would be at a lull, but I'd go like a month and be like, oh, wow, I'm good. And then, and man, it all culminated. I'll never forget. February 2010, she was like, what is it I don't know about you, Terry Crews? There's something I don't know. I can't. Man, it broke me. Because we were on the phone, literally. I was in New York, she was in California, and I was working on a project. And now, this is another thing I want to say. I was very successful. Very successful. You talking
right.
Rich, making money, famous, popular. Everybody loved Terry Crews. It was like, wow, Mr. White Chicks, Mr. This, it was phenomenal. Money was rolling in. We were doing well. And I'm like, what she has to complain about? It's a good life, And the question I would ask her, and I would literally ask myself, was like, why doesn't she believe me? When the question I should have been asking is, why am I lying? It's two different, it's the context the same, two different views, And I had blamed her for not believing me. That's how deep it goes. And I'm going to tell you, success is the warmest place to hide. Because no one's going to call you on your shit.
Yeah, I'm a provider. I'm doing this. I'm doing all these things right. Why can't you just get off of my back? Blah, blah, blah. But man, dishonesty is like the number one intimacy killer, because intimacy is knowing and being known by another human being. So if you're withholding this part of you, she can't fully know you. You're not letting her in. Like, he's saying he would start fights to push her away on purpose because he was terrified of her seeing what was under the surface.
Nobody's going to say, hey, maybe you should. You get a lot of sycophants. You get a lot of people telling you, you're right. I had tons of people like, man, you good. In comparison to everybody else, oh my God, you never hit your wife. You never, you bring the money home. You do all this stuff. But I was not real. I was a lie. I was living a lie. And when I told my wife, I heard this gasp on the other end, and I was like, oh boy, I think it's over. And she said, I'm done. She said, I don't know who you are. I have no idea. Because see, to me, it happened 10 years ago. But to her, it happened today.
I'm just so grateful for Terry's vulnerability here. But guys, I hope that this helps you not feel so damn alone. Like, I can relate so much to Terry. It's like, I was 9 years old. I was using it to cope with emotional pain. I felt completely stuck. The sun would come up and go down at times, and I would still be watching. And my wife, in her amazing intuition, knew something was off with me, and I lied and lied and lied and lied time and time again. And I felt completely trapped, completely alone, justifications up the wazoo, right? All of these things I can relate to so much. And if this is you, I just want you to know you are so not alone. There is a path forward. And if you don't want to do this alone anymore, hit subscribe, okay? Turn on your notifications. We're going to keep dropping videos for you to learn how to overcome your urges and finally put this thing behind you. But if you're also wanting hands-on help, if you're ready now to make this change and want to go all in on your personal support, there's a link below the video and you can schedule a call to speak with me. You do not need to suffer with this till the day you die. That was a lie that I told myself. It's simply not true.